The Boyne River, which originates in the Bog of Allen in County Kildare, travels approximately 112 kilometres through the lush landscapes of County Meath and County Louth before reaching the Irish Sea just outside the historic town of Drogheda. The Boyne River is steeped in Ireland's rich history, commerce and cultural heritage. The river was of great importance for trade and transportation during the medieval period, where Drogheda emerged as a major port town. Beyond its historical Battle of the Boyne in 1690, the Boyne Valley is also a cradle of ancient civilization, home to the remarkable prehistoric passage tombs of Newgrange, Naud and Dowd, which date back over 5,000 years and are recognised as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. My name is Stephen Early. I am chairperson of the Boyne branch of Inland Waterways Association of Ireland, IWAI for short. We wanted a film to show the Boyne Canal and navigation from Drogheda to Navan. I took on the project with the support of St Oliver's Community College in Drogheda. The feeling was to have short episodes of film and show everything of interest along the navigation from the Irish Sea to Navan. The name, Stories from the Boyne Valley. In this episode, we meet local musician and member of IWAI, Pat Shannon. But we start off with Ross Kenny of Boyne Boats, who took some students on a little trip on the Boyne Canal.
Hello Ross.
How's it going? How are you?
Doing? Well.
Not too bad, how's things?
Doing. You have quite a big boat here, Ross. I believe it's been in the Game of Thrones series.
Yeah, it has, yeah. I was lucky enough a number of years ago to get a random phone call from a guy inquiring about renting traditional boats, and it was the Marine coordinator for Game of Thrones. So ever since then, every year I get a phone call and I supply boats and training to the movie and TV world. So Game of Thrones was a big part of it, and then it's moved on to Wonder Woman, Dungeons and Dragons, The Northman, House of the Dragon. So lots of different productions, and these boats, traditional Irish currachs, feature fairly well in most of them.
Right, and what length is this boat?
So this is a 26-foot Kerry Navogue currach.
Kerry Navogue.
Navogue. So
okay.
Navogues are traditional to West Kerry. So this would have been an offshore boat to the Skellig Rocks out to the Blasket Islands. And currach is the Irish word for skin boat, so this is soft.
Okay.
It's not a solid boat.
I do notice that there's this box above here. So would you mind explaining to us what this is?
Yeah, so the evolution, I suppose, of the skins on currachs, originally it would have been cowhide, and the Boyne Valley, the Boyne coracle or Boyne currachon here was the original currach.
That's the circular boat, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's like a basket, and
Yeah.
it's willow and hazel woven together to give the shape, and then cowhide to cover it. This is the more modern evolution, I suppose. The design of boat, the Kerry Navogue, is about 140 years old. So it's not a very old currach in terms of historically speaking, but it would have been skinned with canvas and then sealed with a heavy kind of tar mix. But now, on this one, which is only 9 years old, it's ballistic nylon is the skin, and it's sealed with bitumen paint. So it looks the same, but it's lighter, it's stronger, and it's less toxic. So it's better for the environment in that sense with the materials that we're using.
Biodiversity.
Yeah, exactly. yeah.
Very good, very good. And can we see this boat coming down? Like we were looking at it there upside down. Is it difficult to get it down for launching?
No, you figure it out. I mean, the first day I ever launched this boat, we had a big group here, family and friends, the local inland waterway guys, the Boyne Navigation. They all helped me. There was about 10 or 12 of us gingerly putting the boat in the water. Now I have it down to a one-man job. So
right, okay.
I'll show you how we flip it over anyway.
And you're a company that's buying boats.
Yeah, so Boyne Boats came out of this idea of using the Game of Thrones boats to do something else other than the filming work.
Yeah.
So I came up to the area, to the Boyne Canal, the Boyne Navigation, and started doing boat tours on the water up here.
So let's have a look at this being torn down and go towards launch.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Cool.
Do you need help doing that?
Sure, I'll use any hands I can get.
Okay,
You know?
so where do you want us to go?
So what we'll do is first, you see the way this is set up here?
Yeah.
So we'll do the second one just beside it.
Okay.
And then I'll get, if you two guys, if you go that side, so we're going to roll the boat towards you. So you're just going to catch the boat so that it doesn't fall. Okay, and just let it roll towards you. That's it. And that's the inside of the boat. So looks a bit different. So all of this is handmade. The ribs that give the boat its curved shape across the middle are steamed and bent oak. And then the top sides and the seats and the rest of the timber work really is all cheap builder's yard timber. There's nothing fancy.
Nothing special.
No. The oak is the special timber in terms of holding its shape. But the rest of it is just white deal or whatever you can get that ideally doesn't have many knots in it. But I mean, you'll see even in these boats there are knots that kind of kink the boat a little bit here and there. But you know, that's
the nature.
Yeah,
that's the nature of the boat.
So they're really, really light.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of them.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't that difficult to turn over.
Yeah. I've heard a lot about the mythology of the river, so I was just wondering, does that play any part in your work?
absolutely, yeah. It's funny when I started out this business in 2016, I thought I'd have hundreds of Game of Thrones people lined up to get on the boat, and couldn't have been further from the truth. Turns out Game of Thrones territory is Northern Ireland, not Southern Ireland. But what's kind of developed, and certainly for me, is the mythology story and the mythology stories, which a lot of people want to hear. And there's a huge amount of them. When you start kind of looking under the surface a little bit, the Boyne Valley is probably the home of mythology in Ireland. So I end up telling stories around the salmon of knowledge, Boann, the goddess of the Boyne, Dagda, the great sun god that was at Newgrange, and a little bit about the kind of mythological history of Ireland and the Tuatha Danann and the Fomorians and these great invaders that came to Ireland and kind of shaped our culture a little bit and created all of these legends around Finn McCool and Cuchulainn and the great heroes of that kind of mythology time. So it's amazing, like Irish people, when they come out on the boat and you start talking about, say, like the salmon of knowledge, they they're like, oh yeah, I know the salmon of knowledge story, kind of. Well, I remember it from when I was in school. And then you kind of tell the story again, and it's reliving those memories for people as well. So people tend to tie it back to their school days.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that. So then you're getting a connection to nature where we are now. You're getting a little bit of exercise, a bit of fresh air. And then you're hearing stories from your childhood. So everybody becomes a kid again a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
You have to switch off when you're out here. So that's what makes it easy for me, you know. People tend to come out and be nice and relaxed and easy to have a chat.
Is there a certain story that you hold quite close to you?
Sorry?
Is there a certain story that you'd hold quite close to you?
Well, the story of Boann, the river goddess, I suppose, would be a big one because of where we are. I mean, we're only 50 metres away from the river here on the Boyne Canal. So to tell the story, I suppose, in ancient Irish history there was a well called the Well of Sagass, and it's on the border between County Meath and County Kildare. And this well was surrounded by 9 hazel trees, and it was said that the 9 hazel trees held all the knowledge of the world. And they'd drop their hazelnuts into the well and create knowledge in the water. And the kings at the time could go to the well, drink some water and gain some knowledge.
Yeah.
And at one point there was a king called Nocton, and his queen was Boann. And she didn't like the fact that it was just the kings that could gain the knowledge and not the queens. So one day, maybe being Ireland's first feminist, she decided to go against the word of the gods and see could she gain some knowledge. So she went to the well, and in defiance of the gods, she walked 3 times tuathal around the well, which was against the sun, or anti-clockwise, and that was a big no-no. And then she opened up the well to try and draw some water. And when the gods realised what she had done, they were very angry. So angry that they sent forth a great flood. And it was such a great flood that it gushed up out of the well and washed Boann away down to the sea, about 70 miles away, so creating the Boyne River and Boyne Valley. So Boann is known as the goddess of the Boyne, because through her action, the river was created. And at the same time, all that knowledge got washed out of the well and into the new river. And it's said that the Irish unleashed the knowledge on the world, but of course we diluted it for the rest of the world. So we're still the cleverest. But then the salmon came swimming up the river, the salmon ate the hazelnuts, and so we have the salmon of knowledge.
Yeah.
So I think it's nice the way the Boann story ties into the salmon of knowledge story then as well.
Yeah.
So you'll notice as we go along through this stretch on the right hand side, there's little fairy doors. So the fairies moved in a couple of years ago, and they're an important part again of that kind of old ancient Irish story of mythology and gods and goddesses. So the bridge we're going under, that archway is about 260, 270 years old. So the stonework in it is amazingly well done. And it's part of the Boyne navigation or the Boyne Canal. So all of this out here is man-made. So where we're going along on the water, this was all dug out by hand, by shovels and pickaxes and a lot of hard labour. And then the work in the locks and the bridges done by master craftsmen. And a lot of it has stood the test of time, but it was abandoned about 100 years ago and left to nature. So originally it would have gone as far as Navan, which is 19 miles inland, and would have connected Navan to the port in Drogheda. And then all along the way, the landlords came in and built big houses like Old Bridge House, Douth Hall, Slane Castle even got revamped around that time. So a lot of development was happening in the area. But as I say, it was abandoned about 100 years ago because trains took over. So all the trees that you see growing out of the banks, a lot of them wouldn't have existed when this was a working canal because trees fall over. So not good for navigation. So it would have looked a lot different, a lot plainer and a lot kind of cleaner on both sides. And particularly on our right, where the road is, that's where the towpath was. So the horses would walk on the towpath with ropes coming down to the barge to pull the barge along the canal. So it looks a lot different now to how it would have looked when it was in proper commercial use. And it's in a slow state of restoration at the minute. So this stretch here is the first piece that has been restored. So the Boyne branch of the Inland Waterways have spent years working away on this, cleaning it out, all voluntary, and got some funding together, replaced the lock gates at either end, and we now have guaranteed water in this piece of canal, which connects 2 miles of river upstream, almost as far as Newgrange, all the way back down to the sea and Drogheda and out to, well, New Zealand if you wanted to go as far as New Zealand. But it's an amazing stretch of water and gives you that sense of what it would have been like hundreds of years, thousands of years ago to go up the river into that area of Brunabonia, and how it must have felt for people to be coming home up along that, what was the highway of the time, which was the river. But everything was a lot slower back then.
Would you have a lot of like dealings with the Boyne Restoration, like Stephen?
Yeah, like Stephen and the lads, they come out as much as they can, like when they can get the volunteers together. So Saturdays would be their day, and I'd be in contact with them quite a bit because every now and then there might be a particular job they want to do. So it might be clearing away fallen trees, which happens occasionally. Sometimes they need to flush out the lock gates because silt is built up over time. So we'd be in contact a fair bit. And I have litter pickers on the boat as well, which the lads gave me. So if there's obvious litter that we can grab along the way, we'll grab that as well. So to try and keep it litter free, which is pretty good at the minute.
On summer days I stroll along the Boyne just to see the splendour on my way. My old bridge house, I see the old canal, a memory so fond of bygone days. Now many years have passed since this old canal was worked each day by the young and old. Some remember well, for only they can tell, and only they have stories to be told. How wonderful to walk beside this old canal, and just one day to travel back in time. Barges going up and down, to and from old Navan town, along the peaceful waters of the Boyne. As I make my way upstream, by bridge and log I dwell, I see this man-made wonder in decay, with fallen trees and weed lying in its bed, a sorry sight this tranquil waterway. After leaving Morgan's Lock, I see the Scabby Arch, an engineered and feat to all mankind. Now the people of Slane, they gave this place its name, to make it known and never hard to find. How wonderful to walk beside this old canal, and just one day to travel back in time. Barges going up and down, to and from old Navan town, along the peaceful waters of the Boyne. Now it seems a shocking sin, spices, bases, beef to live, and all along the ramparts so unclean. But maybe some fine day, someone will find a way to reopen it and fill my greatest dream. How wonderful to walk beside this old canal, and just one day to travel back in time. Barges going up and down, to and from old Navan town, along the peaceful waters of the Boyne. Barges going up and down, to and from old Navan town, along the peaceful waters of the Boyne.
Thank you.
Hi Pat, how are you?
Hi.
My name is Dean and
I'm Tig.
Hi, Tig.
we're just here to talk about your song. We heard a snippet of it and it's absolutely incredible, and I was just wondering where you got your motivation from.
Well, I've been playing music since I was, can't even remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've always been interested in creation in music rather than just do someone else's covers. So I suppose what triggered that song was my interest in the Boyne Canal. So
Yeah.
it kind of fitted in with what I was doing myself, like loads of songwriting, just to come from everywhere,
Yeah.
So that's how the Boyne Canal song came to be in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of the canal, from what we're aware, you're part of the IWAI.
Yeah.
Is that where your love of the canal sparked from, or like what prompted you to join the restoration?
I always loved to walk in the area. Loved to explore and up through forests and the whole lot. So I stumbled onto the canal and I started walking between here and Navan, and it's incredible between here and Navan, all the things to see, like in Newgrange and Doubt and all that along the way.
Yeah.
And from there, I just developed a whole interest in the canal. Like I said, geez, it would be fantastic if this was opened again to tourists and locals alike. And from there, it just snowballed in my brain. And I wanted to get involved in the opening of the canal in some way, help out. So in the 1980s, which was when I developed first developed the interest, I joined the IWAI, the Inland Waterways Association of Ireland. Mm-hmm. And like our chairman, Stephen Early, that's probably when he developed his interest.
Yeah.
We never crossed paths until recently in the last year or two. But we started up a branch here in the 80s, and we worked like Trojans. Except for it lasted a few years, and unfortunately I was doing a lot of travelling at the time with music, and it kind of went by the wayside until these guys, Stephen and his gang, started up again in the 2000s, and they've done remarkable work there, you know. So that's just it, yeah.
Yeah.
So you talk about being a musician a lot. It's clearly a very large part of your life.
Yes.
How deep is your connection with the music to the Boyne, would you say? Like, why do you love singing about the Boyne so much?
Well, as I've just said, like the Boyne is one of my passions, and especially the canal end of it, to have it open again. So the song "The Peaceful Waters of the Boyne" is two versions. There's one, the canal version, which you've just heard, and there's also the river version, as I call it, and it brings in places like Tara and Newgrange and Trim Castle and all that stuff. Yeah. But the Boyne is remarkable. It's so underrated in this country. It's they talk about places like Killarney and all the rest. We've got Killarney here every bit, you know, and people don't realise it. You know, that's just it. So it's my association with the Boyne clashes with my songwriting. So that's how it all came to be. Yeah.
And actually, on your song, I noticed that you mentioned a lot of very specific places like Scabby's Arch or Slane and Navan. I was just wondering, do any of them places hold a specific feeling to you? Like, do you have any specific memories from them places that prompted you to include it?
The Scabby Arch is remarkable because when the canal builders went to go from up into Slane itself, into the village of Slane, they encountered this massive big piece of limestone. Yeah. It's massive like it. And they had to dig and blast their way through this. And it made an archway and put the canal underneath. Big enough to have fair-sized craft sailing underneath.
Yeah.
And it became known, don't know the story behind it. Maybe our chairman, Stephen, does, but I don't. But it's become known as the Scabby Arch. Now, why it is, I suppose,
Yeah.
I don't know, kids were poor and scabby at the time. I couldn't tell you. Yeah, but there
Yeah.
you go. But that's one place I love. Another one would be, well, of course, we have the Old Bridge stretch here, and the next one is a beautiful stretch. We have lock gates and all in place up there in Stilleen, and that's a beautiful stretch. It runs, you can see, Newgrange and all the rest from the far, across the bank.
Yeah, it's stunning.
Yeah, it is really good. Yeah, it's remarkable. There's so many, as I say, to see. There's much to see along the Boyne and the canal. It would take you weeks to see it all properly. Yeah, and that's just it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are your plans for the future of the canal? Is there anything you have in mind, what you want to do with it, or do you want to bring more people in to see it?
Well, our plans is to get loads of money and reopen it again. Just but yeah, we come out here every other week and work parties, and we're all volunteers. Nobody gets paid, and we come out and we work hard to try and keep nature back basically from the canal itself in a friendly way.
Yeah.
And we all work very hard, and our future plans is just to keep on going, go right up towards Navan. We have another section of our branch in Navan, and they're working their way down. So one of these days, hopefully, we'll all meet in the middle. Yeah, so that's just it. Yeah.
Yeah. And with your songwriting and with your connection to the canal and the restoration,
Yes.
have you come across any notable people that we should know? Is there any stories that you came across that interest you, or anything about the history, or just
Yeah, well, I mean, the Boyne itself is absolutely saturated in the history, as you know yourself.
Yeah.
From it Boyne rises in a place called Carbery in County Kildare, and makes its way out to the sea, right down here, right towards Drogheda and through Drogheda and out beyond. And all along the way, you've names cropping up like people like Cromwell and different poets. We have Ledwidge out in Slane, and they're fantastic. They're really, really part of the great history of the Boyne.
Yeah, they are.
So the names that you meet along the way are incredible. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's all, as I say, so interesting. Along the way, it's we've the Battle of the Boyne, for instance. We have King William and King James, and they're not around these days, but you've certainly left a mark in the area. Yeah, that's just it. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you so much for the information, Pat. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very much indeed for interviewing me, and you've been so good. It's great talking to younger people. You're the people that's coming up, and hopefully you'll get involved in similar, even this. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
A big thanks to our guests, Pat Shannon, for the wonderful music, and to Ross Kenny of Boyne Boats. And join us for the next episode of Stories from the Boyne Valley.